We're like, the bus is going the wrong way. Tell the bus driver to turn around. Welcome back to the Quirky Cast. Today is the day. We are finally recording our long-awaited episode about our Europe trip.
I am so excited to relive this entire trip, but also like I'm gonna be so sad after.
You know, we did just spend a few hours literally rewatching all of our vlogs. We forgot so many things that happened, and it was such like a fun little walking back through memory lane. And so now we're gonna chat and tell you all about our stories, all about our goods and our bads, a lot of horrific stuff that's happened, but a lot of amazing stuff as well. I guess we should just hop right into it.
Let's do it.
For those of you who don't know, we went on a 35-day long trip all around Europe to about 9 different countries, 14 different cities. We went on this trip through a company that I did actually find off of Instagram, which, you know, could be a little sketchy. But I did actually have a coworker who just came back from a trip at this time when we were looking at this and like researching it, and he said it was the most amazing trip he's ever been on. So this brand is called EF Ultimate Break.
So basically EF Ultimate Break is a website where they have all of these trips pre-planned out, and you just select the trip that you want to go on and pay for it. That's pretty much it. And the cool thing about it is that you don't have to do any of the planning. Well, like you do have to plan a little bit, but it's like they have all of the hotels, the airfare, the trains, every single thing. They have excursions that you could add on to do stuff while you're there, and you get a tour director the entire time, the same person that's in charge,
which is absolutely amazing because we really didn't have anything to plan. Like, you just show up, they tell you what you're doing. Obviously you have your own free time, which is amazing, to where you can go do your own little things that you want to do in each city. But I love every night they would be like, hey, tomorrow we're waking up at 8 a.m. we're gonna get breakfast, we're gonna go here, and it's like, cool, I'm on board, just gotta get ready and I gotta go. And
there was one time, probably a few times, but there's one time I remember that like someone slept through their alarm and they literally had to like meet us in the next city. They had to find their own transportation there.
So the whole thing, it's like you got to be on board with the schedule or else you're going to be left behind.
And it's also kind of like you're kind of like a kid on a field trip, and this one person is in charge of all of these kids. But also, one thing I forgot to mention, EF Ultimate Break, it's for 18 to 29 year olds, I believe, something like that. So it's like everyone that's in your age range. Like, it's not like you're gonna be with like a 70-year-old person that wants to go to sleep early.
It's all the same age range, which is like pretty fun. I feel like our group that we went with was typically all of the same age. And that was something that was really cool too, is that they were people from all over the United States. I think EF Ultimate Break is also only catered to the United States. And then also with us mentioning this, I did want to say that this was something we did pay out of pocket with our own hard-earned money. We're not sponsored by them, even though we would love to be. But I will mention that I did have an ambassador code back at this time, like years ago. I am not 100% if it does still work. If it does, I'll have it linked in the show notes, like under the podcast on both YouTube and on all the podcast bios as well. So you can go check that out if you do want to save some cash, if you are planning to go on a trip.
So this trip was kind of more of the pricey ones. We were just thinking, like, if we're going to go to Europe, might as well do the entire thing. So our trip fee was $6,369, which is expensive. But if you think about it, the way that I just got choked up, I was like, it's expensive. But if you think about it, we're there for 5 weeks. Like, that's a lot.
And you are seeing all of the major tourist like destinations. Every breakfast, I believe, was paid for as well. We got breakfast free every single day, which does add up. So the only cost that we really had to pay for was our own lunch and dinners. Obviously, if we wanted dessert or if we wanted to do any other excursions.
So then there are all these excursions that you can add on. And the ones that we added on, I believe we did like 8 out of 9 or something like that. But then our total price went to $7,027. So we did add on like what is that? I don't know how to do math. $600 of excursions.
That's crazy. But I will say those excursions that we did add on were so worth it. And we'll go in like one by one with each city that we went to and talk about everything that we did. But I do think they were worth it. And the whole experience was super fun. But I do want to ask Teddie, because she said we had to pay monthly payments. I don't really quite remember, but obviously we weren't just walking around with $7,000 in our pocket. So we, back at this time, I took on 2 jobs. You took on a couple of jobs, and we were working our butts off day and night every single day. I was going to college throughout this time. I mean, you were as well.
Yeah.
We were doing everything.
Yeah.
Like, how was I so motivated back then? That's
wow.
crazy.
Because I think I had like 5 jobs.
And going to school.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane.
But apparently we had to pay this monthly payment every month. So would you like to share with me what we had to pay?
So I remember we could either do like bi-weekly or monthly. And for some reason I thought we did bi-weekly, but I found the receipt in my emails. And every month we paid $860.
$800.
And this was starting on September 26th.
Wow. Well, for 8 months paying $800 a month, that is insane.
But that's literally like paying rent.
That literally is. Like, I couldn't do that now.
Yeah. No, literally. like I cannot pay rent right now, but I could 4 years ago.
And one more thing to mention about this whole trip before we hop into the actual destinations, we were in a group along with our one tour guide. We were in a group. I think we came to the conclusion it was about 43 people on our trip. And this is people, like we said, from all over the United States, all different walks of life, people with all these different experiences. We were also thinking when we were looking back at these videos, a lot of these people went on this trip by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is so brave and so amazing for these people to do that. But it is so scary to think about traveling the world by yourself. And like, luckily they did make friends. I feel like everyone had a friend or had a partner that they were like familiar with. We are rooming with people in all of these different cities. Some rooms catered to 6 people. We would be in bunk beds, which is so interesting. And then sometimes we would have like just 2 beds. I know with one experience, we all slept solo in one room.
Yeah, that was cool. I do remember that our tour director was like, we're going to put you in these rooms, and if you have any issues, you can come to us, and like we will switch the rooms, and we'll do it privately. Like, and he was like, we're going to be switching the rooms around every place that we go. So it kind of seems like we didn't come to him and say, hey, can we get this person switched out? But that did happen a few times. You know, some people got switched around, and yeah. I mean, you either mix with people or you don't. Yeah. And I feel like we had a fun little group that we love. Shout out to Bougie Anna if you are listening. And also, like we said, we went on this trip with so many different people, different walks of life and everything. And you are going to clash with some people. Some people like to stay in and go to sleep early, and some people like to go out late, come home late, you know, like, and you can't get along with everyone. Yeah. And that's why I also think it is important to have this tour guide that kind of caters to everyone's likings and like helps everybody out, is there if you need anything. And yes, he was amazing. So good. Like, absolutely amazing. I feel like we had our amazing experience specifically because of him too. Yeah. But I'm sure everyone has to be a good tour director, you know, because then like people would hate it. And leave bad reviews. But he was so amazing. He spoke every single language, which was like insane. Every place we went to, he knew how and what to say anything, and knew people at every single location. So crazy. Yeah. I think we should just hop into it. We have so many different countries and cities to talk about. So first off, we will start with our first location that we went to was Madrid. Pretty much my one only memory from there. I mean, I have a couple, but I know we got there and we went to this little market, and it was like a little food market, and you go up and you just get little different plates of everything, and that was good. But we did go to a nightclub. And to be honest, was this the rooftop bar before we went to the nightclub? Yes. Okay. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yes. Okay. So to be honest, I was a 20-year-old girl, you know, who doesn't really drink at this time, obviously because we were under the age in the US, but being in Europe, it is of age. We went to a little rooftop bar before going out to the nightclub, and I don't know, apparently I got super drunk. And I don't even remember like this story, but apparently this is everybody's first impression of me. Everyone's experience of me is we're trying to find this
club that I will also talk about. It is a 7-story club, which was insane.
Yeah.
And I don't know, apparently I was leading the way with directions. I have no idea what happened. And it was called like El Capital.
Yeah.
El Capital, like nightclub. And apparently I took us to the actual like El Capital building of Madrid. And everybody's like, Indiana, you took us to like the Capitol building. Like the actual like building of Madrid, not this nightclub. And I remember leading the way. Why were y'all letting me lead the way?
Because you're a leader at heart. You know, you were born to be a leader. And everyone knew that.
Yeah, I don't even know. But that was everybody's first impression. I'm like, great. Like, everybody just thinks I'm this person now. But so we did end up finding this nightclub. So it was 7 stories. Every single floor on this nightclub had a different genre of music, which was insane. I don't remember specifically, but let's say like floor 1 was like techno, and then we go floor 2 like country, floor 3 like it was all different types of genres. And so it's like if you weren't vibing floor 1's music, you can go up to floor 5 and then want that music. Like it was so cool. Okay, another thing that I have in my notes that I should have mentioned, I guess, at the beginning. So before we left on this long trip, you know, we had a little like dinner with our parents and everything and did like a goodbye situation. Do you remember that? Did we do that?
I know we did one when we got home.
I just remember I went to dinner with my parents and they were like, what do you want to eat? Okay. And I will say, please don't cancel me. I was an uneducated person back then. And I was like, we cannot have Mexican food because I'm going to go to Spain and Barcelona and I'm going to be stocking up on Mexican food, on like some beans and rice and burritos, enchiladas. I was like, nah, like I got to save myself for that. We get to Madrid. Apparently Spanish food and Mexican food are 2 different things, which I didn't know at the time. And let me tell you, Madrid is known for having tapas.
Yes.
Which are little plates of like bread, like toast with little things on them. Specifically, most of them have like meat things or fish on them, which I don't eat meat or fish. So I will let you know that I was starving for something to eat.
Yeah.
And so going to McDonald's was literally anything and everything that I could eat at the time.
Yes. And I do remember that I do remember we got one of the tapas and it was like some kind of fish or something on it, and we were both like like we went to this place with the entire group and I think we got to pick out like 4 plates and we were like, oh,
like I don't want any plate. We are picky eaters, okay? And that is one thing about traveling. You know, you gotta be open and experiencing everything, but you know, when it comes to food, it's like I like what I like and I'm okay with not experiencing it.
Yeah, that is true.
But that's pretty much it for my notes from Madrid.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't really do much. We got there and it was just like, I remember that first night there, we had like a little dinner and we just all introduced ourselves. I don't even remember really like, what did I say? Hi, my name's Teddie. I'm a photographer. Yeah. That's probably all I said.
So then we traveled next to Barcelona, which is also in Spain. And let me think about what we had here. Okay, so after rooming with 6 people, you know, bunk beds, like one on top, one on bottom, you know, people complaining about the lights being on too late at night and they want to go to sleep. And after this whole situation, we go into Barcelona and we are all given our own bedrooms, like in dormitories, your bed, your TV, your desk. And I don't remember if there was a light or like the key card was the light. And I remember like not being able to see in the rooms, like it being so dark and lonely and scary. And I was like, I'm in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I'm in a foreign place by myself. Anybody can just open my little dormitory door and like grab me. That's what literally. I was scared.
I do remember I was like, this is so cool, but it was like a student center or something like that. That was really cool.
It was cool. It wasn't scary, but that was just my mindset was like, after I'm just coming here now, I gotta be by myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I feel like it would have been nice if we had that like towards the end or in the middle, so we could have like our alone time in the middle and but it was still nice.
Yeah.
In Barcelona, we also went to, I'm not sure what it's called, but it was like in a scene where the Cheetah Girls was filmed, which I personally do not remember the Cheetah Girls at all. But I did buy a cheetah shirt just for that, and I wore it in Barcelona. Do you remember that? When we went out to dinner on that little like pier, I don't even remember what we ate there.
First of all, why would you buy something for a specific location?
T.
I do remember you saying that you bought one just for that. I really don't remember what it looked like or anything.
Yeah, it was just like a spaghetti strap, like cheetah shirt.
But I do remember that. I remember that restaurant where we ate by the water. That was like one of our first restaurants or something that we ate at. And obviously the workers knew we were from America, and they came and brought us some mysterious tiny glasses of yellow liquid. And we were like, what is this?
Which I feel like almost every place that we went brought us a mysterious little glass of liquid. Like everyone was like, shots. And we were like, oh yay, shots.
And like, to be honest, I don't even know what that is. And we all like clinked them together and took it out like a shot. It could have been like cleaners for our fingers. Like, I don't know.
It could have been.
I'm pretty sure it is limoncello now that I've seen limoncello, but
now that I think about it, let me just like, if you're watching this on YouTube, sorry, I keep on looking down at my phone, but I am going through all my pictures, like sliding with it. But I think it was orange. Yeah, it was orange.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mysterious orange liquid.
Yeah.
So going along with Barcelona, one of the excursions that we purchased was the paddleboard lessons.
Yes.
We got to go to the actual beach, and I don't know, we got on a paddleboard.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. But something funny is right before we left for this trip, I watched the movie The Meg. Have you seen that?
No.
So I watched the movie The Meg. And there's this scene, and I probably watched this like 2 days before we left. Barcelona was our second stop, so it was like pretty recent from when I watched it. There's this scene where it's like an aerial view, and this person is standing on a paddleboard, and it's looking down, and there's this massive shark just swimming right underneath them. So when we were paddleboarding, that's all I could think about. You remember when people jumped off the paddleboard after we got out of that little harbor and we went out into like the ocean?
Uh-huh.
People are jumping off, and I was like, I'm good. That's not for me.
I just remember from that whole like experience, I remember that the instructors they brought out, there were ginormous surfboard that fit up to 10 people, and all of us got on there and started like paddling together, and like that was fun because you don't see an actual giant surfboard like ever.
Yeah. Do you remember after paddleboarding we went to that little restaurant, and first of all we learned how to, I don't know what I'm gonna say, how to make not garlic bread, but we got this piece of bread and we got like garlic, I think, and you had to scrape the garlic on the bread. And then you poured some olive oil on it, and then you eat it, and it's like supposed to taste very garlicky.
I do remember that. Do you also remember we had, so that's the one downside some of the days, not all the days, but the one downside about traveling in a ginormous group is when you go to restaurants, when you are having to go eat at these restaurants in like your huge entire group, sometimes, you know, they can't like cater to what every individual person wants. So in this situation, they were like, we'll just all give you all the same dish and you all share it. So this dish was called paella.
Yes.
And some paellas have like meats in it, some have fishes in it, and I get past my dish. So it's like a mixture of rice and like vegetables and meats or whatever. The first thing I see is an actual tiny little squid just looking at me, like an actual like
and
octopus.
It was so tiny, and some there was just like legs and the little tentacles, and you were like, oh.
Like Squidward's looking at me, and I'm like, I can't.
I picked around it all. I like picked up one piece of rice by one piece.
Yeah, no, the rice part was good, but then that was my first experience of ever even seeing like a little octopus in my life. Like I've never seen that in my dish, and I was like, that is so interesting. Like I can't wait to go to Paris.
Yeah,
can't wait to go eat something else.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after that we went down to the beach, and that's where the topless beach was.
I forgot about that.
And we saw like little kids run around naked with their mom naked right behind them, and we were like, whoa, what is happening here?
I forgot about that. That was talk about culture shock. Like that was like, whoa.
Yeah. And our last little thing that we did was we all walked over to this little park. It was so cute. And we did a little yoga session. I remember this girl that was like leading the yoga class. Like it was like this whole experience. But I do remember, one, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And two, there was this like one point, maybe it was at the end, but it was like we were all just laying there with our eyes closed, and she came around and put some like essential oil, like rubbed it on our forehead or something. And I was like, whoa, this is it. This is what I paid $7,000 for.
I remember I passed out. I remember her like waking me up, like shaking in my shoulders and being like, hey, you're like, we're done. That was my first time ever doing yoga, and that was like an amazing experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Our next location that we traveled to was probably the top one on my list. I was so excited for it. I had a lot of outfits planned for this place specifically, and that was Paris, France. And I feel like I have so much to say about this just because I felt like it was a very magical city. I absolutely loved it. I think you had like a different perspective.
Okay, hear me out. Yes, very magical. I think when you see the Eiffel Tower for the first time, or just in general, but like we had this whole like we got to Paris and we got on the metro or the train and we walked up out of the stairs, turned the corner. We see the Eiffel Tower for the first time. And that was so magical. That was like, whoa, like that's what you see in the movies. So beautiful.
Like I literally was in tears being like, this is like amazing. And specifically our tour guide was like, I'm going to take you this direction so you can't see it until you turn that corner.
Yeah.
And it was like breathtaking.
Yeah. So what I remember from that is walking up those stairs out of the metro. It was very dirty. And very like I don't want to come off sounding bad like saying this or anything, but it's like you walk up and you're like, oh, this is Paris. And then you turn the corner, you see it, you're like, wow, it's so beautiful. But then there's all these people trying to sell you stuff, trying to do all this stuff. There are definitely like very beautiful spots in Paris. Like I think the second time that we went to Europe, we definitely saw like a lot more of the more beautiful, trendy, all of that stuff. But I don't know. I compare Paris to LA. Ooh. You know, everyone wants to go to Hollywood. Everyone wants to come to Los Angeles. You get there and it's just dirty and gross. And it's like, why did I want to not why did I want to come here? But like, I don't know. But I do still love Paris. I would go every year if I could.
Yeah. I feel like I did very much romanticize it, and that's why I see it in that perspective, being like, this was so amazing and so beautiful, and like I loved everything that we did. Like I absolutely loved. But yeah, I guess thinking back, I don't think I have ever experienced a city or a place in general that has people walking up to you, putting their products in your face, and like begging you to buy their stuff. Yeah, like water bottles, little Eiffel Tower trinkets, like selfie sticks, like everything, and they don't stop. They're like do you want it, like buy it, like $1, like they don't stop, and you have to just say no. Like,
and you could even be saying no and walking the other way, and they will still come up to you and be like, here, put on this bracelet, and then they put it on you and they're like, okay, $5. Yeah.
And so that's the one thing, like if you are traveling to Paris, like literally no means no. Don't say sorry. Don't say like, oh, I don't have money. You just say no and keep walking, because they'll keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
And so like I've gone to Paris now 3 times. Like I've told my family, I'm like, we aren't saying anything. You just walk by and you don't give an F and you just keep going, because like obviously I get it, they need to make their money, but like also it's like, I don't know, it makes us so uncomfortable because we've never been in a situation like that as well.
And there's also a lot of pickpocketers, and that's all over Europe, which I'm surprised it's not big here.
It is so crazy. That's something that we should talk about, like at least we're gonna do a whole separate video on this, but it is crazy how I can just like set my phone down. Yeah, if I'm sitting outside at a restaurant, I can set my phone down on my dinner table that I am eating on and not worry that somebody's going to come by and grab it and run away. But like in Europe, you have to be ready. Like people will literally come up, swipe your phone, keep walking, because you're never going to see it again. Like realistically,
it's insane.
It's so insane. I'm like, that's a whole little life lesson right there. But going on the good sides, so basically going back to our very magical, beautiful moment, we see the Eiffel Tower. We're all literally like, oh my gosh, in shock. It's so beautiful. That whole scenery in general. One little extra thing that I always love to think about, and that brings me back to the memory every single time I hear it, is we were walking down the steps to go actually towards the Eiffel Tower, and there are like performers and people singing, and specifically as we see it for the first time, there is a performer singing Fix You by Coldplay. Every single time I hear that song, like on the radio or like anywhere, oh my god, I'm literally getting choked up. It makes me want to cry, because it makes me like, reminds me of like that exact moment. And in my like Paris vlog, I have it showing like we recorded him like performing, and then I go into the video with like that song playing, and it's like so like heartfelt, so cute, and I love it.
No, I honestly forgot about that.
I remember us being on the bus, and I was like, what is this song called? I remember like giving it to Teddie's ear, and she's like, it's Fix You. Like she knew what it was, and I was like trying to figure it out, because I was like, I need to know the song. And then I had it in my earplug, just listening to it for the rest of the days. Like, oh, Yeah.
See, and that's a magical moment. But then there's other ones that aren't.
After seeing the Eiffel Tower, we were then sent on a river boat cruise on the Seine River,
Yes.
which was, I think, a great way to be able to see the city like all in one go. It was kind of like a fairly short ride. It was probably like 30 to an hour, I would say. And all it is just you sitting on the boat and you're looking out the windows. You can sit on the top of the boat and be outside in like the fresh air. And then they have like somebody telling you what you're passing, like as you're passing by it. On your left is the Notre Dame. At this time, that was when the Notre Dame got burned down.
Yes.
So I remember seeing it, just the little burnt tops of it, and I was like, ooh, like that sucked that we didn't really, obviously it sucks that it got burned down. But I was like, just literally at the time we were seeing it is when it was all under construction. And then takes you all the way back around to the Eiffel Tower again. And by this time, the sun just set, the sun went down. It's kind of like nighttime a little bit. I don't remember. We didn't have any expectations. Our tour guide just told us, he was like, when you're done with the cruise, meet me back at this spot right here.
Yeah.
And that's all that we were told. And so we had no expectations. We walk back and we were surprised with a whole spread of a whole picnic of like baguettes and cheeses and meats and wines and fruits and cookies and like any French thing you could literally think of. He got literally a whole picnic for us, which was the sweetest, like most amazing thing, like out of his own pocket. I'm assuming maybe the company gave him money to do that. Maybe it was what they do to every group. But I was like, this was just such a sweet thing that he did for all of us, for 43 people.
Literally.
That's what made like our night. Like that's what made that experience.
And it was right in front of the Eiffel Tower. And I think at that time when we were there for that little picnic, we saw the Eiffel Tower sparkle for the first time.
Every hour on the hour it will twinkle and everybody counts it down. And it was so like amazing. Our next day in Paris, we went to the Palace of Versailles. I'll let you know that. Did we know what the Palace of Versailles was before we went? No, we didn't. We were just going along with the ride. We did pay $110 for this excursion. We ran into somebody that Teddie knew from back home that was like studying abroad over there, and she meets us and she was like, oh, like, did you guys like buy a ticket? And we're like, yeah, we paid $110 for this. And she was like, what? She was like, it's literally free to get in. I'm like, what? What did we pay $110 for?
I don't know.
We don't know, but maybe it was like a front of the line entrance or something. But so we get into our little tour guide. I think we had an actual guide. We all had little headphones in our ears while she was like reading and telling us what each room was. Honestly, I've been there again. Like I went this past summer. I honestly can't even tell you what it is again.
I have no idea. Like it's definitely very pretty, but I also feel like we aren't very into the whole like history and museums and all of that, but it was definitely cool to see. I would definitely love to go back and take pictures and not be part of a tour, because I do remember we wanted to take pictures in certain spots and our group would just go and we were like, oh no, where are they? We
were literally walking like cattle, like into each room, so small, like shuffling back and forth with like hundreds of people, because obviously it's a summer day, it's very crowded, it's a tourist spot. But I do remember leaving that experience being like, did we just waste our money? Like, because we didn't really get to go do anything on our own, which I'm sure if you are wanting to go see that, you know, you can definitely do that on your own. We just thought we were going to go along with the group. But saying that, I did just go back this past summer. We did go walk through the gardens. We kind of roamed around by ourselves. We didn't have any guide telling us. We didn't know what each room was. That's the thing about having a guide, is it's nice to learn, to know what you're looking at, but it's also nice to kind of just roam around and do your own thing.
Speaking of museums, we also went to the Louvre.
I think I dragged all of you along for this. That was the one thing that I was excited to see. You know, if you're going to Paris, you got to see the Mona Lisa. You know, you got to. And the Louvre is if you don't know what the Louvre is, it is the triangle pointy museum building. The museum, you go under the triangle. So you go downstairs and there's a whole ginormous museum underground, basically. This day specifically that we went was a hot one. And I remember being underground, no AC, in this ginormous museum was so hot.
Yeah. And I just remember, I think I was just like so tired at that point, and I was just like moping around, like, okay, like we're here. Definitely, like, it was definitely cool, but I do remember being like so tired that day.
And we were like, the only thing I want to see is just Mona. Yeah. Like, I just gotta find Mona, okay? Let me tell you, they put Mona in the back of the whole museum, okay? You have to walk miles through the whole entire museum before you get to see her.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We literally were running. We would go into a new corner, a new room, and we're like, hey, where's the sign? Where's Mona's face? Okay, going that way. Okay, run. And then we go to another building, and it's like, hey, Mona's this way. I'm like, okay, go. We literally were running through this whole museum. We finally get to see her, okay? She's in this huge room. It's as if you're waiting in a line for Disneyland for a ride. It's a huge line that just makes its way like around and like left to right, just to see this tiny little, maybe it's a 1 by 1 foot little picture square of her on the wall.
Yeah.
She's pretty tiny.
But there's also like a line to get up there. So then we had to like wait in line because everyone wants to take a picture. And
you know what? I have a conspiracy. I really wonder if that's the real one or if they just put a fake one out there.
I wonder. Like, how do they determine what is real and what's not?
Yeah. Because I just think of like the National Treasure Book of Secrets, like the movie.
Yeah.
When they just have the fake one like on display, but the real one's downstairs.
Yeah.
Whatever. We saw her. She was cute. Was she smiling?
I don't remember, honestly.
I did say we wouldn't have to ever do that again because we saw her.
Yeah.
But this past summer, I saw her again.
And how was she? The same?
She was the same. Yeah. She, the room still same size, same crowd.
So after that, we went back to the Eiffel Tower and we went up to the top of it.
Yes.
That was scary.
It was scary. Apparently you can either buy an elevator ticket or you can walk the stairs to the top.
Yeah.
Which,
not for me.
Y'all people are crazy. Insane. If you were literally walking the stairs to the top of the Eiffel Tower, like, good for you. That would never be me.
Yeah.
But we bought the elevator ticket. The elevator takes you. You go to halfway.
But we didn't know that.
I was looking down and I was like shaking and I'm like, this is terrifying.
And it goes so fast going up. You're like, whoa. Yeah. You're like holding on to anything you can. And you're like, okay, stop.
Yeah. And so we get out, we look around, and then you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a whole nother section.
Yeah. And they're like, the elevator to get to the top is over here. And we were like, this isn't the top. And I do remember looking over on that first level and I was like, this isn't the top. Like, we are so high up.
And so we finally, make it to the next elevator to go up to the top. And the first thing I remember just getting out of the elevator, I just felt like we were like swaying. Like, you could feel... obviously it's probably very like permanently constructed and like it's not gonna knock over, but you could just feel the wind like pushing the building and like you just felt like you were rocking. Maybe it was just also my thoughts, but
I
like
don't remember that, but
I could just like feel myself like swaying back and forth.
But it was definitely so cool.
Yeah. It literally, I would do it again. I mean, I did do it again, but like, it is an amazing experience. We went during the nighttime.
Yeah.
And what was also really cool is that the lights twinkled again on the hour when we were up there.
Yeah, that was cool.
Which was really, really cool.
So we then went to Disneyland Paris.
Woo!
So much fun.
That was one of my things I was also looking forward to, like specifically going to Paris and going to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my goal is to go to all of the Disneylands in the entire world. And I think Paris was our second like one on this stop. That was my only one out of the country that I've ever been to. And that was an experience. First thing I gotta bring up, so Disneyland Paris obviously has some of the same rides that we do have in California Disneyland. One of them being the Indiana Jones ride. This ride I would describe looks like a carnival ride, that's built up and taken down like every year. Like, that's just what it looks like. They don't do that, but that's what it looks like. Some rickety like roller coaster, very small. So we're like, no, we gotta do it, and it goes upside down. Do you remember where I'm leading up to?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we're so excited. We are, I think, next in line before they tell you what cart to go in. We're standing at the attendant or whatever at the gate. The workers all of a sudden come on the speaker saying, this ride is now down for a few minutes under construction. Do you remember why?
Yes, I do.
Apparently somebody got sick in the front row. They were sitting in the first cart and they threw up in this cart. And I looked over at Teddie and I was like, for the love of everything, I hope we are not sitting in that first cart. And when the ride finally opens, they were like, how many? And we said 2, please. And they were like, okay, take the first cart. And I was like, no way. I'm like, we're literally sitting in throw up cart.
Yeah, it was like kind of wet. And
it was wet. It was probably not cleaned up. We sat in throw up cart.
I remember that, but I don't remember like what the ride was at all.
Yeah, it was like a very quick ride. It's very like, it just hurt. It was like hard and harsh and goes upside down and then you're done. Other rides we went on, Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain I thought was really cool because it was like 3 times the length of our like California Thunder Mountain. It was like super long, and that's like one of our favorite rides here in Disneyland.
We did Pirates of the Caribbean. It was pretty much the same, but I think the drops were bigger.
Yeah.
And they take a picture.
Yeah, and Space Mountain went upside down.
Yes.
It was like a faster, like fun ride. They also have Tower of Terror, which
fun.
like we don't have anymore, so that was pretty cool to experience.
Ratatouille.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Ratatouille.
Oh, so good.
That's what like started my love, because that was the Ratatouille ride at Disneyland Paris. That was the best ride I have ever ridden. It was the first time we got to experience a trackless ride. It was like 3D. Now at California, we have Rise of Resistance, which is our own like trackless ride. So it's basically the same exact thing.
That was definitely probably my favorite ride at any of the Disneylands I've been to.
Yeah, definitely recommend. And now at Orlando at Epcot, they now have the Ratatouille ride as well. If you guys are going there, you better ride that, because that is the best ride ever.
One other thing about Disneyland Paris is I remember the food. They literally had like the same food at every single restaurant. It was like a cheeseburger, a burger, and like a chicken sandwich. And that's all they had.
I remember, I don't think there was anything for me to eat.
Yeah.
Even when I recently went, I had to get like a hamburger and take out the meat. Like they didn't even have like a grilled cheese option. I had like French fries or like a pizza slice.
So next up, we went to London.
Yes, and I want to mention that when we arrived to London, we were already so exhausted.
Yes.
And I remember the night before we arrived in London, sitting in like the hallway of our hostels or a hotel, and us being like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
Like in a good way, but also being like, we literally have like 25 more days.
Yeah.
Being like, wow, like we did so much. But so we arrived to London. We are so exhausted. I think we also had a very early flight. We both have about 50-pound suitcases at this time.
Yeah.
And our tour guide gives us like our key cards, and he was like, okay, your room, you're on the 4th level, and like, here you go. We go to enter the elevator with our 50-pound suitcases. The elevator is under maintenance and is not working. We had to carry up our luggage up 4 flights of stairs.
Yep.
And that was our start to London, and we were knocked out. Like, we were done.
That's not the first time we had to carry up our luggage either.
Which obviously, yeah, that's something to know if you are going to Europe. A lot of the elevators are either small or like rickety, because obviously these buildings are super old. So a lot of the times you do have to carry your luggage. That's why the smart people would bring carry-ons, but
we aren't smart. We like to be fashionable, not smart.
Yeah.
So the first night of London, we did do a pub crawl, and we went to, I believe it was like 3 different bars, and each bar that we went to, we had like free drink tickets. Do you remember that?
I forgot. I didn't even have this in my notes because I forgot we even did a pub crawl.
Yeah, no, I just remember I got so drunk. There's literally a video of me in the metro, just like sitting there waiting for the train to come, just with my head back up against the wall, asleep. Like, I was so drunk. I was so done. I was ready to go.
You know what I remember? One of the girls in our group, love her, Lauren, went up on stage.
Yes.
You know, obviously slaying, doing her dances. She does her little like drop it down move. Splits her pants.
Yeah.
Like down the crack. That's
so bad.
That's so funny. I forgot about that. That's why I love like doing this, like talking about this, just remembering things that we just forgot about.
Yeah.
The next day, we wanted to go see the famous crosswalk on Abbey Road, which is, you know, the cover of the Beatles album in London specifically. We wanted to ride the famous red buses, the double-decker buses. That is something that was on the bucket list. I was like, I want to be waving my hands out the double-decker bus, like riding around. So we figured we could go find the road by ourselves. You know, you just use Google Maps, you'll figure it out. We kept getting on like a bus, and we would go the wrong way.
We would get on the bus and we were looking at the directions on our phone. And we were like, okay, so we're supposed to make a right at this next street. And we're like, but we went straight. So the next stop we would get off and we'd be like, okay, let's just get on the next bus. And we would get on the next bus and be like, okay, we're going to make a left at this street. And we'd be like, we made a right. We were like, why is this not working?
Yeah, we're like, the bus is going the wrong way. Tell the bus driver to turn around. I don't remember how we even got there, but we got off the bus and we like figured out how to get there.
But no, because I think that we figured out that like we're supposed to get on a certain bus that's going to go a certain direction, but I don't even remember how we figured that out. Or do you think that we asked someone, we were like, how do we get to Abbey Road? And they were probably like, take bus 58 North. I don't even know. Was that good?
Yeah, that was good.
Really quick, speaking about accents, the first 3 cities we went to, they didn't really speak that much English. So we were like, we're getting to London. We are so excited they speak English here. We get there and we cannot understand one word these people are saying.
Yeah.
We were like, huh?
I remember at every location we would come to, we didn't even preference this, but every first day that we would arrive in a city, we would all go on to like one bus that would fit all of us, and we would ride around the city, and we would have pretty much like a guest speaker kind of tell us about the city. And I remember us arriving to London, we go around the city, I couldn't even hear what this guy was saying on the microphone. Like the accent was so strong, which is so funny because we were like, oh, we aren't gonna have trouble like ordering anything because obviously we speak the same language. Okay, but basically we finally arrived to Abbey Road. We were in our like influencer era taking our photos. Like Teddie had the camera. And if you haven't been to Abbey Road before, it is at like this smallish street, and it was packed with people, and people are taking their turn one by one, walking, pretending to walk on the road, stopping and posing like halfway. Somebody runs into the middle of the street, takes a picture, and then cars are passing by
and honking.
Yes.
Get out the way.
It was so chaotic.
Yeah.
And we would like rush through and we're like, hey, take a picture real fast. And then you run out of the way. And it's like you could get literally ran over if these people aren't paying attention.
Yeah. And there was like, we went with one of the other girls, Anna. And so it's like we each wanted pictures. So like, and we were trying to get some good pictures. So we each had to go like a couple of times. And then it was like I was taking pictures of Indiana, and then I was taking pictures of Anna, and then I was like, well, I want some pictures.
Yeah.
And then
we literally crossed the crosswalk like 50 times actually.
And then I do remember we did go to the post office because we had too much stuff. And I think it was like an insane amount of money. Like it was like $100, probably more, to ship something home. But we were like, well, either that or we're gonna pay every single time we go somewhere.
I don't think I shipped anything. I think it was just you and Anna.
And I shipped like a shoebox size.
Yeah.
And like and it was still so expensive.
After Abbey Road, we did do reservations to go to an ice bar, which when you arrive, you pretty much get like this huge igloo coat, like this huge
like a
parka with like some fluffy like hood and everything. You get mittens, and then you go into this ice cave basically. It's literally an actual bar. You get your drink in an ice cup. Like this cup is literally like an ice cube that has a circular little thing in there for your drink to fit in.
And then after the ice bar, we did get fish and chips. I love fish and chips. I think it was Indiana's first time.
Yeah, I remember I didn't even order like a dish. I think you gave me one of your little fish tenders and one fry. And I took a bite and I was like, it's interesting. You know what? I do think I liked it. I just didn't want to like it.
Yeah, like it's scary to like when you don't like fish.
Yeah. We had an excursion to go see the London Eye, and this is the 4th largest Ferris wheel in the entire world.
Wow.
It goes up to 443 feet high in the air, and you know how like normal Ferris wheels, you can fit like 3 or 2 people in each little like seats? This Ferris wheel fit our entire group into each cubicle. I think it takes 30 minutes to go up to the top and then 30 minutes to go back down. It was ginormous. And like, if you're afraid of heights, I mean, I don't remember it being scary.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But if you think about it like that is kind of terrifying.
It is,
After the Ferris wheel ride, we also, with our excursion, did a river cruise and picnic, which this was one of the things of us wanting to go to London. I was like, we got to get our tea and crumpets.
Yeah.
And so it pretty much was like a tea party on the boat. They gave us little like finger food sandwiches. Everything I would grab, I'm like, what is this? But like I would eat it.
But I do remember it was like a cute little like trinket thing that had the sandwiches and the little pastries all over it.
I wanted to go as a Harry Potter fan.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to go to the platform of 9 3/4, which is at the station in London. I thought we were just going to go see the platform. I didn't know they had their own gift shop. They had their own line. They had their own worker attendant taking photos and saying scarf.
Yeah.
Remember that?
So funny.
So you'd wait in the line, and when it was your turn, they would ask you what house you're in, and they would give you the designated scarf. So obviously I got the Slytherin one because Team Green. Do you remember what you got?
Yeah, I have never seen Harry Potter, so I think I asked like the lady. I was like, I don't know. And then like our whole group, they were like, red, red, red. So I got red.
Okay. So you get the scarves around your neck, and you pretty much just take a photo. I think I went above and beyond, and I pretended to I actually did run into the wall.
We did make a video. Do you remember that? And we edited it together.
We like ran into the wall and then vanished us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny because if you have seen the movie, platform 9 3/4 is where you enter Hogwarts. So you pretty much run into the platform and disappear, which was really cool to see. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. The last night that we were there, I was just craving some sushi. And we went and got sushi. That's the last thing I have to say about London. It was good. So next up after London, we went to Amsterdam. I liked it. It was fun. It was cute. I was thinking about The Fault in Our Stars the entire time.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We did actually pass by the bench that they sat at.
Yeah.
I remember because, I mean, this was one of the things we did. It was like a canal boat ride, which is what you do when you're in Amsterdam. It's like one of the popular activities. And our guide was like, on our right is the bench that's Fault in Our Stars, like sat at, like in the film.
Speaking about the boat ride. So something that Amsterdam is known for is weed, smoking some weed, you know, and they have coffee shops there. Yes. And it's not any kind of coffee shop that you think where you're going to get some coffee.
And it is funny because they are actually called coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Google Maps, you're like, oh, I want to get some coffee. You walk in there. They ain't selling coffee.
No coffee there for you.
It is legal in Amsterdam to sell like marijuana.
Yeah.
And so that's something that is very popular there.
And I remember we went with one of our friends from the group, and she did buy something. And we sat up there and we may or may not have tried a little bit.
I also remember we weren't ordering anything and we went to go sit at a table. Like we walked right into the building and we go sit at a table. I've never been to a coffee shop in my life. I go and sit at a table. The man yells at me. He's like, no, you got to order something first. And I'm like, oh. Okay. Like I was like, what? Like I was scared. Yeah. And so then our friend orders something and then we go sit at the table and then it's all good.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was my first incident. So if you're going to these coffee shops, you can't just sit down. You got to order first.
Yeah. But so I do remember that was before our little boat ride. And I remember we had to like all meet at this one location on these steps. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, whoa. And there's a picture of us when we're on the boat and like we look so high. So high.
Also, our like entire group did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember meeting up with everybody because our tour guide was like, hey, everybody meet up at this time. We're going to go on the boat ride. Everyone went to a coffee shop.
Because that's what you do when you go to Amsterdam.
It's the experience. Another one of the excursions that we did was go on a bike ride throughout like the city. It was cool. We kind of went through the actual like streets of the city, but then we ended up in
kind of like the countryside of it.
The countryside, like forests and grass and trails.
And there was like windmills and that was so cool.
We got to see actual windmills.
But it was like one of those like little like wooden house looking windmill ones.
Yeah,
you know?
Not like the Palm Springs ones, like actual like authentic Netherlands windmills. But yeah, so one thing that you should know about Netherlands or Amsterdam specifically is that it is a bike riding city. Yeah. You know, people use bikes to transport everywhere to get to their destinations. And when you are crossing the street, you gotta look both ways. I remember we were walking somewhere and I don't know what it was. I don't know if you guys were like on the other side of the street and I was trying to catch up to you. All I remember is getting knocked out. I remember a bicyclist.
Wait, you?
Yes. A bicyclist screaming like, watch out, watch out, watch out. I get collided with, I get hit, they get knocked off their bike. I'm on the ground. There's people sitting at a restaurant, like out sitting in the patio, and they come up. They're like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I knew it was my fault. Like, I ran in the bike lane. Like,
Wait,
I ran in the way.
Not remember this.
I just significantly remember that, and I am terrified of bikes now.
Did you tell people this?
I think I was not by myself, so I was with somebody.
Wow, I have no memory of that.
So that like terrified me from wanting to walk near these bicyclists every day.
Maybe I was hanging out with my other friend.
Yeah, maybe you had too much coffee shop, honestly.
Maybe I was thinking about something else that we saw.
That concludes us to our next topic. Another thing that Amsterdam is known for is the red light district.
Yes.
If you are under the age of 18, you can just plug your ears a little bit. The red light district is a little like city or town place that you walk past, and all the lights of the cities are all turned on red. You have women are standing. I think it is specifically women. Maybe there's all types of people.
Yeah.
Are standing in the little window ways, luring you to come in.
And it's like doorways, but it's just like a window, and they're just all there, and they're like, you.
Yeah. Like they're literally pointing to you, and they're like, you want to come in? You want to come in? You only want to go in if you want to have a good time. We didn't go in.
And we still had a great time.
But you know, you kind of just walk around. It's kind of like a for show, like funsies situation. But one thing about the red light district is that they do shows. They do have shows for everyone to see. It wasn't something that was on our like list for our tour to do, but it was something that we did do as a group. Like all of the group wanted to go, so we all went together.
And it was like it was like $55 or something like that.
And I remember our tour guide, he was like, you guys are doing this on your own. Like, I can't be with you. Like, this was your own decision. So I just remember we were all sitting with all of us, and we didn't know what to expect.
And this isn't any like red light district you're just gonna see on the street. Like we paid and sat down in this theater.
Yeah, it was an actual like auditorium.
Yeah, there was different acts. We watched one person smoke out of their private parts. I'm not sure how, but somehow smoke went in and came out.
Some people were like twirling on the like ropes from the ceiling to the ground and like unraveling.
Yeah, I do remember also someone also used their private parts and put a pen in there and wrote on someone. Do you remember that? They brought like a guy up on stage and they took his shirt off and they wrote something on him, but she had it in her.
Oh, I do remember they pulled out a bed for a scene that you need two people to do.
And it was like rotating. It was like spinning. And they were just like so passionate. That's all I can say. They were just going for it. And we were like,
And I remember all of us, like all like 20 to like 25-year-olds are all like, hee hee hee, and like all looking around.
We're like, what do we do?
Another excursion that we did while going to Amsterdam, which is actually interesting thinking about this. I feel like we did a lot in Amsterdam, but they are known for their chocolates, apparently, which I wasn't like aware of. So one of the things we did that we paid for was a chocolate tasting. And I don't remember like what was wrong with me at the time, but I remember paying for this experience, and they were cutting up like the smallest amounts of chocolate, and we would try one. And I wonder, I think it's because it was just so rich, like very like authentic chocolate, to where I was getting nauseous.
Oh.
And they would like cut up a new bar.
Yeah.
And then everybody has it on their plate. And I'm like, I just cannot physically eat this.
Weird.
Like, it was making me nauseous.
I do remember, and I am a chocolate connoisseur. I love chocolate, but I didn't like one piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
I remember they were all disgusting.
Yeah.
And I do remember, the only one I really remember was there was like a pepper one, and it was so spicy.
Another little fun thing that they did at this chocolate tasting was apparently another way to inhale chocolate instead of eating it. You can
and we aren't crying over here.
No, you can apparently snort chocolate to get the full flavor This isn't something to try at home. This is something that the instructor was there to help, lead the way.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Did you do it?
And it's supposed to be like 100% cacao or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like no sugars in it, no processed anything.
A few of our group members volunteered. There was this little contraption that had 2 small panels that were supposed to go under your nose, and the instructor poured a little of the organic cacao under the thing, and you pull the lever as the cacao is going up your nostrils, and you're supposed to sniff it.
Yeah, it just like shoots up.
Yeah, it just shot up. And so I have that also in our videos as well, if you do want to like visually see it. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen maybe I'll do that for a lot of these things.
Yeah,
as we're talking about it.
So that pretty much concludes the first half of our Europe trip. I am so excited for the next part.
We kind of have a lot to go over. That's why I think we are just going to be breaking this up into 2 different parts. The first half is obviously going to be this week, and then next week we will do the next part, which is gonna be all of our Italies and our Greece, and just the very fun parts of the trip as well. I mean, it's all fun, but I think those were pretty much highlights of the trip.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention that since we have already traveled to these places and experience going to such as restaurants or hotels or hostels or transportation, we are fairly knowledgeable on some of these places, at least. If any of you have any questions or recommendations or anything about traveling to these places amongst Europe, feel free to message us, because we can definitely give out some recs.
Yeah, definitely. And we do still have some of our itineraries and stuff that we did, so we could definitely share that with you as well.
And I honestly go above and beyond. It's so funny. One of our mutual friends messaged me about Japan.
Oh.
I gave her a full-on written page. I was like, oh, you can go here. I don't know. I just love doing that. Yeah. So I have all of those saved. I do have a lot of addresses and restaurants saved for my recent Europe trip as well. So I do like to keep all those documents. So they're pretty accessible. If anyone has any questions, we can help you out.
So that is it for this episode. We will see you next week with the part 2 of our Europe trip. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give this episode a like and a review, a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to us, turn on those notifications, all of that stuff. And we are
the Quirky Cast.
Bye.